Welcome to this edition of Real Talk with TAS and OnJerya. I am your host, Teresa A. Smith. TAS, my sister's looking at me because I have been just doing this for the last couple of weeks. Normally, I just say, did I always just say I was TAS? I don't even know who I was. But anyway, I'm Dr. Teresa A. Smith, Dr. TAS, and my sister is OnJerya, my beautiful sister that my mother carried and was pregnant with at my high school graduation. And I just love her to death. I've loved her since she was in the womb, and she's on this journey with me, kicking and screaming most days, but that's okay. How are you, Angelia?
You know, I'm doing good. The week has been a little rocky. We ain't talked in a couple of days, so I definitely have to fill you in. But needless to say, your lovely nieces are keeping me on my toes. They're definitely keeping me on, on my toes.
Okay. Wow.
I
Keeping you on
love it.
your toes. Okay. Okay. Well, I know you're gonna fill me in. Want to say hello to Mother Eateries over on IG and DToggle 312. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm bringing in the folks over on Facebook. So, what's been going on? Because, as you said, and it's hard for people, we normally talk every day. I know we didn't talk Thursday because I have some stuff to tell you, but well, I don't think we talked. I know we didn't talk Friday. So, I don't know when the last time we actually spoke. So it's like this is unusual that we don't talk every day, but we have not spoken. We didn't speak this weekend. I didn't talk to you Thursday. I didn't talk to you on Thursday because I have something to share. So I'm right. So I don't know. I guess I don't know if we talked last Wednesday. So it could have been last Tuesday. So I know there's a whole lot of stuff going on that I don't know. So Anje, you take the lead. As I said, Jesus, take the wheel. Take
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, we definitely have to catch up because so much has been happening behind the scenes. Good things, of course. So,
talk every
I
day.
know. So tonight, lovely, lovely listening, viewing audience, I'm posing a couple of questions.
Okay. Oh God.
The first question is, what moment in your life forced you to grow, whether you were ready or not? Okay. So you ready to tackle that?
Well, no, I'm just trying to write it down right now.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, so again, it's probably gonna be a little bit of call and response. I'm gonna try not to be preaching. Again, I'm not searching for the pulpit or running towards it anytime soon. Okay. Here we go. What moment in your life forced you to grow, whether you were ready or not? Most of us can think of a moment that changed everything. Maybe it was losing a job, the end of a relationship, a health scare, a financial challenge, or a moment when life didn't go the way we planned. In those moments, it can feel painful, confusing, and even unfair. But oftentimes, those same moments become the turning point that shape our strength, our wisdom, and our purpose. In real life, growth rarely shows up when we schedule it. Wouldn't that be nice? Growth often shows up when life interrupts our plans. It's the moment when you realize that you have stepped up, changed your mindset, or walk a different path, even when you didn't feel ready. Many people can look back and say that the hardest season in their life became the season that taught them the most about resilience, faith, and perseverance. And that reflection is powerful, especially as we celebrate 50 episodes of Real Talk with TAS and OnJerya. The number 50 carries deep meaning throughout the Bible. It represents freedom, restoration, empowerment, and new beginnings. In the year of Jubilee, that's described in the book of Leviticus, chapter 25, declared a sacred year. During this time, debts were forgiven, people who had been enslaved were set free, and land that had been lost was returned to those families who originally owned it. It essentially was a reset for the community, a reminder that no matter what had happened over time, restoration was always possible. So think about how powerful that concept is when we think about the real world, right?
Mhm.
Imagine if every 50 years there was a moment where people were given the opportunity to start again, release your burdens, and move forward with freedom. We also see that the number 50 is connected to spiritual empowerment in the New Testament. After the resurrection of Jesus, the disciples waited for what had been promised. Then 50 days later, during the Pentecost, as described in Acts of the Apostle, chapter 2, the Holy Spirit descended upon them. That moment gave them the courage, the clarity, and the power to step into their mission. So, biblically speaking, the number 50 represents a turning point, a moment where restoration, freedom, and purpose comes together. And if we think about our own lives, we can see how this plays out in real ways. Many people experience their own Jubilee moments. Maybe it's the moment you finally walked away from a toxic relationship. Maybe it's when you forgive someone who hurt you and release the weight you've been carrying. Maybe it's when you start a new career, launch a dream, or realize that setback that you experienced was actually preparing you for something greater. Those moments feel like a reset, a moment where you reclaim your peace, your direction, and your purpose. That's why reaching 50 episodes is more than just a number, it's a milestone. Milestones matter because they remind us of how far we've come. Sometimes we get so focused on the next step that we tend to forget to pause and acknowledge the journey. So, celebrating 50 episodes, it isn't about the count, it's about the conversation, the growth, the lessons learned, and the community that has been built along the way. Every episode, every story, every discussion contribute to this moment. Because sometimes the moment that challenge us the most are the same moments that prepare us for the purpose that we are walking into now. And just like the meaning of 50 in the Bible, those seasons of challenges can lead to freedom, restoration, and a new, brand new beginning. So I go back to my second question. What moment in your life forced you to grow, even when you weren't ready? And how did it shape you to be the person that you are today? You speechless? You're muted if you're talking.
I'm speechless. You know, it's a celebration time. Woo. Oh. Celebrate good times. Come on. Celebrate good times. Come on. And celebrate. There's a party going on right here. A celebration through all the years. So share your good times and your laughter too. We're gonna celebrate, have a party with you. Come on now. You know, I had to have a little cool in the game because 50, as you just laid out, of anything is a milestone that needs to be celebrated. And when I look at us, I don't know if you realize it. You know, my books over there. Do you look at our colors? Look at what we're wearing.
Hmm.
Do you realize we are wearing our colors tonight? The
No, I
pink,
did not.
the pink, I didn't either until I realized, you know, God does all things decent and in order. And, you know, I would jump up and run, but then I know some people would say to me, I know she didn't get up and run the room while she was trying to do this show. But think about it, because I had no idea what you were going to do. And we don't script anything. And then I'm sitting here in pink and you're sitting there in black. And those are our colors, the fuchsia and the black. But we'll talk with Taz and NJ. So when you ask the question, what moment in your life forced you to grow, whether you were ready or not? I really should be asking you that question.
Oh,
But, and I am going to ask you that question because you're the one to answer the question. But there have been so many moments in life. You know, recently, I think I wrote in an article or I shared with someone that when I first started going live, and you're the right person to have this conversation with, when I first started going live, first of all, guys, you got to understand. So we're reminiscing tonight, but it's all going to come together because it always does. So this is to encourage someone else during Women's History Month and Women's Empowerment Month, and of course it's Reading Month too. But it's always all of that because we're not just gender specific here. It's for
yeah.
everybody, and so so hopefully you'll get the nuggets that we're going to be dropping as we speak. But you remember, first of all, guys, when Facebook was coming into being, I was working on my doctorate. So the people when I worked at the State Department of Ed in North Carolina, I could hear the people in the cubicles talking about Facebook, but I was doing work. I won't pay me any attention. So then at some point, I don't know if it was 2012, probably, because I graduated in 2012 from Liberty University with my doctorate in ed leadership. I get Angelia to set me up on Facebook.
Yeah.
I probably did nothing for years. I didn't know what it was. And so, yeah, I wrote Stronger. Stronger was the first edition was released in 2017. And I don't even know, it could have been Male that was like, Male is my middle sister, was saying, you need to go on social media. You need to go on Facebook. I'm like, what is that? And she was like, people will be on, they'll be talking about their stuff, and you can talk about your book and blah, blah, blah. And I always say like, share, like, tag, and share. I think that's what it was, like, tag, and share. And I was like, okay, well, I couldn't even remember like, tag, and share. And this is the truth. So I would have these notes around me and that would say like, tag, and share. It was like my script. It was like it was my teleprompter, all these little notes. And so I started going live. You're talking about that moment that life forced you to do something, whether you were ready or not. Well, I started going live. I was so scared. I was really, guys, I can kind of feel it now. I was so scared. And I don't know if the first couple of times I did it and I didn't have Pastor Tandria, because I'm not sure if Diane had passed yet. Diane Hunter was a friend of mine. I don't know if she had passed yet, but when she passed, her elementary, middle school friend, we became friends. And so she was a pastor and she would support me. She would go live with me. She named Dr. Taz. I think she's the one that named Dr. Taz Live at 9. She was there to support me. And and that right there shows you that God always has a ram in the bush, because I didn't know what I was doing, but she was accustomed to doing it. And so she was coaching me through it. And she would make little comments, and everything. And I don't know how I was holding my phone then. I don't know how I was holding my phone. That's really interesting. I don't even know. because I didn't have a I didn't have a tripod. I don't know what I was doing. So anyway, though, she would be making little comments, and so I wasn't ready for it, and it forced me to get ready, as TD Jakes would say, get ready, get ready, get ready. I wasn't ready, but it forced me to get ready, and over time, I got comfortable in that space. And the lesson that I learned that I want to share for folks who are interested or people who are doing this, don't strive for perfection.
Yeah.
Strive for delivering content that your audience wants. That's how visibility really takes hold, when you deliver what your audience wants. Perfect is overrated. Perfect will have you locked up because you so focused on being perfect that it just never perfect. Um, and so for me, Anjay, that's the first thing that comes to mind, where I wasn't ready. I was out of my element. I know nothing. And I think you said to me, it could have been last week after our show or sometime recently, that I really have come a long ways, because I didn't even set up my Facebook account, guys. And even now, I don't even know how I set up. Yeah, I might go do something, it's not doing something right. But to think that I've come that far, and then to think about where we are now with 50 shows. I remember being on a tour bus in Hawaii, Kiki, or whatever, telling this one that we were going to do a show. Well, I had already told her. Well, listen, what you said, that voluntold. I'm listening to the way I'm telling this too. But I think I asked her. Well, no, I probably did our granddaddy. I probably did Granddaddy Nelson. Anjaya, I don't know if I did it this way, but this is how Granddaddy used to do stuff. The Lord told me to tell you. I don't know if I phrased it that way, but I probably told Anjaya, we got to
You
do it.
did.
I did that way. Okay.
You did. And I told you the Lord didn't tell me that.
Bless you.
So that's
You know,
nice. But he didn't tell me.
you know how mail is. Some people get the mail early. Some people get it a little late. So he hadn't told you yet. And she told me no. And I said to her, and she was working on her second master's. I said, okay, give her a little time. And I think it was after she completed that second master's, we were over in Waikiki, and we were on a bus. And I told her, we're gonna be doing a show. And that was like November. And I said, the shows go premiere in January. And I'm, working with the person that was doing the original graphic. I'm working with them while we are Waikiki, because I was in CEO mode, and I knew that we had to do this show. I knew it. You remember when we did the little promo at the house during Christmas?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think, did we have Latifah holding the phone?
Yeah. Yeah. She was holding the script. So she was
Oh,
like a little teleprompter.
so Latifah is my oldest niece. So I guess I had written it out. And so I had her holding my script because, again, this was still very new to me. And, you're like, oh, I got to get it just right. But I've grown. It's like, oh, just say it. Just say it. Even if you don't edit it out, that'll be fun. Because, again, it shows the fact that this is real.
Yeah.
So I throw the question back to you, Anjay. What was that moment in life that forced you to go, to grow, whether you were ready or not?
Oh Lord, I've had quite a few of those. Um, but if we want to keep it at the show,
You don't have to.
I mean, I've had quite a few, and it's funny, right? Because today I was talking to the babies, and that's what I call like the newbies at work, right? They're my babies, and I got to fill you in. We got a new one that has joined us, and so I was telling them the story about them 10 days. Because again, I had not met the new person, right? New person has been there since January. Haven't met her at all. Like none of us have, right? And so, we're like introducing ourselves and then, we were talking about something and I mentioned them 10 days, and They all just like chuckled because I was like, did I ever tell y'all how like I almost missed this opportunity off of 10 days? I said, man, and I said, it takes my sister to tell the story because she told my manager, who I met in person, that, she wasn't going to take this job because she was reading that it only offered 10 days of PTO, planned time off, and she don't even take time off. So I don't even know why she was like stressing over 10 days, and I don't. Now I got weeks galore over here being like, I need to put something on the calendar, okay? But it's funny how God will have things to happen that will expeditiously get you to put that time on the calendar. So they all kind of like chuckle, but I'm like, yeah, I just look at even with that, right? Like when I reflect back on, 3 years, almost 4 years ago, walking away from a situation, stepping out on faith. And I knew everything, what they say, the stars were aligned. And, because again, as y'all heard me say, our parents, particularly my dad, is the type of person that you don't walk away from a job unless you got another job. And so the fact that, I told him that I was going to have to step away and he was like, yep, do what you need to do. We got you. I was very much surprised because again, that's not how he is. So when I stepped away and then Teresa's like, oh yeah, you're gonna that's your job. And you're gonna have that job before we even get back, because we were on our way to Virginia to her class reunion. And I did. I got the call on the way to the class reunion. They gave me the offer. And to think that I didn't even want to return the call again, right? I was going to miss my opportunity. She's like, baby, the recruiter calling you. Why you don't want to call the recruiter? Oh, well, girl, it's the weekend. If you don't call her back.
Let me interrupt there, because they got to understand this too, because you don't share things like this often. But I had already prophesied to her that she would have, what did I tell you, that you would have your job by the time we went to my class reunion. How did I phrase it? And then we're in the car on the way to Virginia. The recruiter calls. We were like, what, not even 10 minutes from my house. And I'm like, you're not going to call her back? I'm like, you need to call her back. So then she calls her back. The lady was trying to reach her because she was going to be out of the office for a couple of days. This one didn't even want to call her back. I give you back your story now.
Yeah, because again, we still going on about them 10 days. And so the rest is history. Like negotiate the salary, something that I've never done. I've always heard our parents, you know, talk about it, but never actually, provided the tools in the toolbox on how to do it. And yeah, this was life before Chat GPT, honey. All AI wasn't even AIing back then. Okay. So you can imagine now how we can go into Chat GPT and be like, what do you think I should negotiate for a salary based off of my experience, based off of my education? That wasn't even a thing back then. So, Teresa's like, well, push paper and pen, because that's what daddy tells us. If it don't make sense, then, you can't move forward. And we came to an agreement, and I was proud of me because I'm not going to lie, like, I can be very talkative, but not really at the same time, right? So it comes across I'm a people person, but I'm really not. Really, really not. But I can talk because, of course, that's in our DNA. And so for me to talk about self, which is very hard to do, because again, we was raised by Joe Jackson's sister. Now, Joe Jackson's sister gonna watch this.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
is the part that I am talking about you, mama. Okay. Again, I have to fill you in on that conversation after this live. Okay. I'm now talking about you, mama, Joe Jackson's sister. So Joe Jackson's sister did not allow us, I did say allow, us to talk about ourselves, our accomplishments, and we can do none of that because her whole thing was, people gonna be jealous and they're gonna be upset and they're gonna be envious and people gonna try to hurt you. Now, again, I also do understand that, our parents grew up in different times and those are kind of people that they encounter. So I understand, right? But as I got older, and probably within like the last, I don't know, like 5, 6 years, I I help her understand, no, I don't talk about my accomplishments.
Mhm.
Because one, it's not bragging, right? Those are accomplishments, those are testimonies,
Mhm.
and those are blessings. So why am I going to be quiet about the blessings that God has provided for me? Right?
Mhm.
Like, so now I'm embarrassed of him? Absolutely not. So yes, advocated for myself, got that salary, and the rest is history. But I do like to share them 10 days, a PTO for someone that don't even take time off, a work was going
Yeah.
to miss out on the blessings because of 10 days and then got there and it was more than 10 days. Trust and believe it was more than 10 days. But that just goes to show that even when you're uncomfortable, you're going to have to get comfortable because you're going to have to step outside that comfort zone. You're going to have to let the blanket go, Linus. It's okay. Linus, you're going to have to let that blanket go. You know, if y'all ever have watched, what is it, Snoopy, or sometimes they call it Peanut. You know, they used to do the little comics. I don't know if they do the comics now.
Mhm.
See, again, times have changed. Ooh, I don't even know if they do that anymore. But, you know, if you watch Snoopy, you will see that Linus always had his blanket because that was like his security, right? Like it brought him that comfort that he needed. So, of course, with the show, I have definitely had to come out of my comfort zone because, yes, when she presented this to me, I said, girl, first of all, I can't be me. She said, oh, they just love you. I said, no, they don't know me. See, they know the person that I present, right? They don't really know me. So I have to, filter me a lot. But I'm still me though. Like you guys still get me. You just don't get me 100% in the raw. Because I have to be mindful because Teresa smacked my hand.
That I will. That I will. And let me just level set and thank Gentle Valentine for joining us over on IG, and Ellie Bailey, Regina Lammers, I'm probably mispronouncing that, and Bill Gata for joining us over on IG. And I want to say hello to Betty Jean Ingram from joining us from Laos, North Carolina. That's my beautiful cousin, my mama's first cousin. She's over on Facebook watching us. I want to give a shout out to her. And also to let you know that Real Talk with TAS and OnJerya is brought to you by DQ Consulting, LLC. And Anja, you've woven some things for us. Now I know you had one other question. What was that question for us tonight?
Oh, the question of, and how did it shape you? How did it shape the person you are today? So basically, based off of the moment that forced you to grow up when you weren't ready, how did it shape you, shape that person that you've now become today?
You know, one thing that I would say, because I used when I first started going live as an example, and the lessons that I learned from that, I applied in everything. You know, now that was me going live in my old office. Dr. Todd's Live at 9 and whatever else I used to call it. That's not when I was cooking. Now, when I started cooking live, Todd's in the kitchen. You remember that first time I did that, Ajaya? And I bounced back fast, guys. The first time I did it, I recorded, but I had no audio. And I
Yeah,
don't know, I don't know what I was cooking. I may have been, I don't know if it may have been lamb chops. I don't know. I don't think it was a tuna. And so on my TikTok, I had my niece who set me up on TikTok, and she was kind of working with me. And then Alexis just kind of, she went away. So then I had to do my TikTok by myself. So it's like, okay, now I got to learn another platform. And so I was really panicky, guys, and I get so panicky. And I was like, no, 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 no. And, because see, it's a lot of prep that goes, well, first of all, my mama can cook. McGlory can cook. And when I was growing up, she catered, and people would have her to make their potato salad, their dressing. We Southern people, so if people wanted her to make their potato salad and they dressing at the holiday season, she can cook. And so anyway, it's like, so cooking for me, I grew up cooking with mama, and then with the way I cook, I transform whatever I've cooked into something healthier because I've had gastric sleeve surgery and only eat a little bit. So I'm thinking it was my lamb chops. So, I'm really focused, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then I had a volume. I don't know it. And I think Cyrus, my publisher's like, I was trying to get your attention. But even if he had gotten my attention, I wouldn't have known how to correct it. So it was only afterwards, it's like, you don't have any volume. Oh, I was so upset. And then I came up here because I had to finish, because I do the recipes, and then I come up after I've actually done them and make the little edits to them. And then I went back downstairs, and I think I reached out to OnJerya and them. I'm like, we're going to do this again. Y'all got to do something. I don't know. Anyway. So my niece, I think I came up, or either y'all said it, we came up with this idea when cooking goes wrong or whatever, because there's no mic. Usually it's a hot mic. I had no mic. My mic was cold. And so we put a little something together, and I have it on TikTok. And then I did it again. I think I went back, and I don't know if I did it live, but I went through that whole process again of cooking. And then after that, I guess I had to have that first mistake, which really wasn't a mistake. It was an opportunity for me to dig deep and see what was in me, and then get a foundation for me to stand on. Because then it was like, okay, well, I'm getting ready to go live. Yeah. Hi, this is Taz in the kitchen. Da 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 da. Because I pressed that button. It's Taz in the kitchen. We're gonna roll. If I forgot to bring something out the refrigerator, I forgot to get this, guys. Let me go ahead and get this out the refrigerator. Oh, guys, I thought my skillet was hot. It's not hot enough. But then I'm just gonna keep talking to them. So it helped me to become comfortable in my own skin, and understanding that if I don't panic, the audience don't panic. Now I transition and take all of that and transfer it over to my work as a professor, my work as an editor, my work when I'm actually doing an interview with someone, because I'm always adjusting based upon what's coming at me. So if I've got questions, if the interviewee says this and it doesn't lead into what I'm trying to lead into, then I'm listening, and I'm like, okay, we're going to go this way. I may be able to swing them back to where I want to go, but if I don't, it's okay, because as long as I get out of them what I believe the audience needs to hear, then when two have come together, it's almost like letting no man sit asunder. So for me, I think that not being ready for that one thing has helped me to be more comfortable now, and just about all of my going live or anything that I do, because again, it don't have to be perfect. And once you can get that in your head, life is so much better. So what about for you, OnJerya?
I mean, I agree with that. Like for me, it was never it was never about, oh good, I have to be perfect. It was more so of like, oh, I have to be mindful of what I say and how I say it, because to know me in real life, I talk really fast. You probably can't really tell so much on the show. Um, Sometimes, because I slow down a lot when I'm on the show. So that is definitely a lesson that I have learned. I'm still working on that, making sure that I take the time, right, to self reflect. Sometimes I'll talk to people and be like, God, I really wish this was scripted, because it gets hard sometimes to just come off the dome and be like, oh, we're going to talk about, oh, we're going to talk, ooh, ooh, ooh. And the thing is, I'm like, it's really not that hard. But that, of course, was a concern, right? Because I'm like, Teresa, what are we going to talk about? She's like, we're going to talk about the stuff we talk about on the phone. I said, girl, we can't talk. Like, we can't talk like that. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, yes, we can. We just don't drop no names. Clean it up. Make it. for rated E for entertainment, um, because it can go to the left real quick, it can get really colorful, you know. So that's why I talk real slow. So sometimes but just being able to come here every Tuesday night, never knowing, like, seriously, never gonna come out my mouth, has been fun. I look forward to many, 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 many more episodes of not knowing what's going to come out my mouth, because life is an interesting thing. And yes, Miss Gloria, Mama, I'm talking about you. Okay. Prior to getting on live, because again, like we stated, I haven't talked to Teresa in days, which is not like us, but life be life. And, to hear Mama say, oh, y'all were talking about me, and I have to let her know, baby, we do not be talking about you. Now I am talking about you now, Mama. So when you catch us on the replay and you have a conversation with me, to be like, yes, now, yes, darling. Yes, honey, I am talking about you now. Only from the perspective of, we know lots of people, and you'll be surprised how people be having the same experiences. They going through, it's like it's a different thing, but it's really like very, very much similar experiences. So sometimes if you hear something, if you see something, don't automatically get in your feelings and think we're talking about you, because chances are we not. However, as they say, if the shoe fits, then I want you to wear it. I
Yeah.
want you to wear it. But no. So that was just my thing, was like, oh my God, what if we run out of stuff to talk about? And she was like, yeah, we're never going to run out of stuff to talk about. Like, girl, there's so much going on that we can share. So just camera, right? Like, I am not a shy person. Again, we was raised by Joe Jackson's sister. So you had to be ready. Uh-huh. Because when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So, we grew up in that. Mama had lots of banquets and pageants and everything that you could, church programs. So, she'll be up there emceeing and be like, yep, we're getting ready to have scripture. Call your name. She ain't told you you're going to have a scripture. You be over here flipping like, Lord, give me a scripture, Jesus. Give me a scripture, because, she expecting that when she call your name, that you better be ready with that scripture. We getting ready to have prayer. You better be, let's bow our heads and pray. Lord, just give it to me. You're like, we get ready to have this song. You better be ready to come out. You better be able to come out with something, because that is how Joe Jackson's sister raised us. Okay. So that's why I'm like, Lord, I just don't know what I'm going to say to the people. And Teresa's like, you got so much to say, girl. They're going to love you. Just like they love Miss Gloria. I know they can't wait to see Miss Gloria again.
She'll be back soon.
She'll be back soon. Don't you worry. And she got so much to say.
Yes, she does.
So much to say. But it was definitely growing pains, because, it's always that feeling of, well, will people get tired? Will we get old? And like, it's kind of like how you watch like your favorite show, and then it's like season 2, season 3, and it don't get renewed, and you're like, but it was a really good show. And I always remind myself, no, baby, we Law and Order SVU over here. Okay, we about to be 20 some seasons deep. So we gonna have lots and lots and lots of things to say, for many more episodes to come. And it has definitely been a journey, and I am happy to have been on this journey with you. Yes, she has to volunteer me, because she knows that, that free will that I be having really do be working overtime. Because I don't be wanting to do it. But then it's like, after I do it, I'm like, I guess it really wasn't that bad. And she's like, it never is. It's just you fighting you.
And Jay, you dropped some nuggets there. You fighting you.
Yeah.
And that's what you were doing with those 10 days that I had to keep telling her, well, we're going to take this job because we had negotiated and got her salary up. So we're going to take this job. We'll do it in 10 days later. And she's right. I did share that with her manager when I met her manager last fall. Because it's like, yeah, she wasn't going to take the job, because she was concerned about them 10 days. But, again, the mindset and having a growth mindset is so important. And I was thinking about when we do go into new jobs or new roles in our churches or organizations, our community, you know, we we may know the information or know the content,
Right.
the matter, but you go into a new organization and there's always growing pains. But what we have to remember is because we were able to do it or overcome the last time, we can do it this time. And make sure that we stop fighting ourselves or get out the
Yeah.
way so that we can achieve that particular goal. And that goal could be a small goal because small goals make big goals. I've got this project that I'm working on, and I've always wanted to work on a project on my job. I finally got an opportunity. And then it's like, well, can I do it? Yeah, you can do it. Just calm
Right.
yourself down. Calm down, baby. Calm down. As Joel Osteen would say, calm down, Robert. Calm down. Because now that you got it, you've got to wrap your mind around how do I do it?
Right.
And always understand the way you're going to approach something is going to be totally different from the way other people approach it. And, sometimes they got to catch up with you, and that's okay. That's okay. And they sometimes might make you feel that your approach won't the best way. They got to catch up. Like OnJerya had to catch up with me. She had to catch up with me that we were going to do this show. She had to catch up with me that I had already prophesied to her that we'd be discussing. That's what I told her. We'd be discussing your job on the way to Virginia for my class reunion. That's what I told her. And that's what we did. So please, guys, remember that we don't know what the end is going to be, but we have little nuggets, we have little cookie crumbs,
Yeah.
that are dropped along the way. But if you're able to achieve in this arena, you'll be able to achieve over here too. But you've got to do some work and stay focused on whatever the goal is in that particular environment or that arena.
Right.
So, Anjay, thank you for oh, hi, Sylvia Lyles. Sylvia Lyles is joining us over on Facebook, and then Lily Pearl 103 is joining us. And of course, Sylvia Lyles, we got to meet her when we had an after school program. She 21st Century After School Program met Sylvia several times when we were going across the country for 21st Century After School conferences and meetings. She used to be a she used to run the department, that area at the U.S. Department of Education. So good to see you, Sylvia, and thank you for joining us, and congratulations on your retirement. I know you and your hubby still having a great time, so that's always good. We all listening. We want to be like that when we grow up. But she put the time in, guys. Let me tell you, she's a hardworking woman. She put the time in. And so that's a lesson for us all, that there's always going to be, as our friend and former neighbor would say, because she doesn't live on our street anymore, look for the rainbow.
Yeah.
That's what Evangelist Tangela Diggs Lindsay always posts about the rainbow. And whenever I see her post that, I always get kind of emotional because, normally it's been a rain, it's been some sort of storm. And then you look, and then there's that rainbow. We know there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So my message to you tonight, guys, as we celebrate 50 episodes of Real Talk with TAS and OnJerya. Thank you for being with us tonight, everyone, for joining us. Those who joined us on IG and on Facebook, thank you so much. And those who have supported us, our community, all these, is this the third season? All these seasons, thank you so much. And those who supported our book, thank you so very, very much. We could not do this without you, and we really do enjoy it. I every Tuesday. And so, again, remember, you have goals that you are accomplishing every day. Sometimes we get pushed into doing things when we think we're not ready, but God always has a ram in the bush, and He never, ever fails us. And remember, before you go trying to take care of someone else, make sure you take care of yourself first. Bye now.
Bye.